Welcome to Bremen!
Moin from the Hanseatic city of Bremen. In this video, we'll take you to some of the most beautiful and fascinating sites in northern Germany. We'll start with Bremen's most famous residents, the Town Musicians, before admiring the stunning UNESCO World Heritage Town Hall and its lively marketplace. Just steps away, we'll stop at the Spitting Stone, a curious reminder of Bremen's past. From there, we'll wander through a peaceful park with a historic windmill and stroll down what many call the city's most beautiful street. We'll explore the Schnoor quarter, a charming neighborhood of narrow lanes and colorful houses that miraculously survived World War II. Bremen is a city full of history, legends, and character, and we're excited to share it with you. So join us and let's explore Bremen together.
Okay, so Bremen was received severe damage during World War II. I read that like 80 to 85% of the buildings in the inner city core were either completely destroyed or damaged. So it's pretty amazing when you think about it. The main Marktplatz, the main town square, was pretty much completely damaged, except for the town hall. This beautiful building was not destroyed. And that guy over there, Roland, which symbolizes Bremen's independence, and therefore it's a city-state. It doesn't belong to any other state in Germany. So Roland is a symbol of independence, kind of freedom from any other governments, I guess. And that guy, he's been on this square since 1406, or a version of him. So he's been destroyed a couple times. The original one was wood. He's been destroyed 4 times, but he was not destroyed during World War II. So he's been there. And so the Roland and the town hall together, those were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's a beautiful building. I mean, it's really intricate. It was originally built in the 1400s. It's been added on to, and different construction has been made to it, but it hasn't been destroyed. So it's the original building. So really beautiful day here in Bremen on the Marktplatz. We've got these beautiful buildings here. We've got good old Roland, we've got the town hall, and we've got St. Peter's Dome, the church, right over there. All right, so here we are on the Bremen Market Square, the Marktplatz, and just a beautiful day here in early August. And I've got a Beck's Unfiltered, which I've never seen before. I've never had this before, but it's quite tasty. You can see it's a little hazy, not clear like normally Beck's is. And we've got a organ player, and I'm looking at Roland, and we've got the Rathaus and the cathedral, and it's just a really beautiful, nice day. Great way to spend the day here in Bremen in northern Germany. Moin. Right behind me, this interesting statue is known as the Bremen City Musicians, and this is a fairy tale that was collected by the Brothers Grimm, but it's one of those that I don't think ever made it to North America, because I never heard it before I came to Germany. But the story is, you've got a donkey, a dog, a cat, and a rooster all on top of each other. And the story goes that the donkey was old and tired, and he couldn't work in the fields of the farm anymore. So his farmer had stopped feeding him. They never quite made it to the city, but anyway, that's the symbol of Bremen, and you see them all over, but this is like the most famous one right by the Rathaus. And you're supposed to grab the donkey by the legs, the front legs, both of them, and rub them. And apparently if you only rub one, then you are the donkey, or the ass yourself, I guess. So that's the story of the Bremen City Musicians here. and I'm going to try to get some more music out of the Bremen City Musicians. We tried the other day, it wasn't working. We were told that because they received a lot of rain, and oftentimes, and they get a lot of storms, that the thing doesn't work. But it's supposed to work whenever you put a coin in. So I'm gonna try, we'll see. If not, it all goes to charity, I guess. So it goes to a good cause. But we'll see if it works. All right, so I'm in this little courtyard here in Böttcherstraße. And forgive my pronunciation. We've got the tourist information office right there. Very friendly in there. They spoke great English, very helpful, gave us a map, told us some places to eat. We signed up for a walking tour in there that we're going to take later today. And this is like one of the cutest streets in Bremen, probably the cutest street in Bremen. It's really nice. But right above there, we've got some mice and bells. At 12 o'clock, this whole square is going to be full because people are going to be watching the bells. They play a little tune. And I believe from now, from the 1st of April until the end of the year, on the hour from noon until 6 p.m., they play every hour, and people gather around to listen to the bells chime. And this whole thing's going to be full. There's that. There's also a little thing that spins around somewhere. We're going to get some video of it when it actually does it, but we wanted to talk about it when it's not full. There's actually like a little thing, and it kind of turns around and shows different images with the bells. Now, the Meissen bells, if you don't know, Meissen is a city just right outside of, not far from Dresden, and they produce porcelain. I believe they were the first producers of porcelain in all of Europe, and it's really nice, really expensive. And so those bells, if they're Meissen bells, they've got to be very, very valuable. There's some very similar in Leipzig, which were very expensive to install. All right, so we'll be here at noon, and we'll watch the bells go off here on Böttcherstraße in front of the Tourist Information Office. So we are along the Böttcherstraße, one of the cutest streets in Germany, and right in front of the Bremer bonbon manufacturer. They're making candy in there. It looks really good. But there's a little depiction of the Bremer City Musicians here, but the chicken, the rooster, or as they call it, the cock, is stolen. And it says, they have a little plaque there that says the cock is such an object of desire that it gets stolen again and again. So finally it was stolen so many times they just didn't replace it. So now there's just a little outline of the rooster there.
Welcome to the Snoor District, Bremen's oldest and most enchanting neighborhood. Its name comes from the Low German word for string, because rope and cable makers once worked here. But the real magic isn't in the name, it's in the streets. These twisting little lanes are so narrow that in some places you can stretch out your arms and actually touch both sides. Add in the crooked half-timbered houses, many more than 500 years old, and you've got a scene straight out of a fairy tale. What makes the Schnoor even more amazing is that it survived the bombings of World War II almost completely untouched. While much of Bremen was reduced to rubble, this quirky little district stayed just as it was, a colorful slice of history frozen in time. Today, it's filled with cafes, artisan shops, and plenty of surprises around every corner. The Schnoor isn't just a place to visit, it's a place to get lost, wander, and feel like you've stepped into another world.
So it's kind of nice. And we are in the Schnoor area, which is the oldest area of Bremen. And it wasn't damaged in World War II. One of the few parts of the city that wasn't damaged in World War II. So it's pretty much original. Buildings from the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th centuries, if I'm not mistaken. And we just met a very interesting young man. He was a carpenter dressed in traditional carpenter clothing, and he's traveling around. And he said the tradition is that you travel for 1 year and 1 day, 3 years and 1 day, and then you come back home. So he goes around looking to meet people, looking for work and things like that. So we got a picture with him. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, the Schnoor is a very nice area. quarter here in Bremen. Lots of old buildings, lots of cute shops and stuff like that, and it's definitely a place that you want to visit when you are in Bremen. All right, so we're here on the Böttcherstraße, right outside the tourist information office, and we went in there the other day. Very friendly, very helpful. Gave us some dining recommendations, and they gave us this nice map that has key points of interest and a little bit of description about them on there on the back. We also signed up for a walking tour in there, which was €12.50 per person, which isn't bad. We took the walking tour, and honestly, it wasn't great. I really probably wouldn't recommend it because she wasn't super friendly, and she didn't give us a lot of information that we didn't know already just by reading up on Bremen before we got here. So I really don't think the tour was worth it. But the one thing she did tell us that was good to know was that, and maybe she's trying to get us to leave the tour, I don't know, but if you get the map and the points of interest on the tourist map, and then you leave the tourist information office, you can follow the street, and all through Bremen, they have these little silver dots. And if you ever get lost and don't know where you're at, if you follow a silver dot, it'll lead you to one of these points of interest on the map. So if you're looking for something, you don't know where you're at, find the dots, and eventually you'll run into one of these spots, points of interest that you're looking for on the map. So that was a good piece of information. Other than that, we didn't really learn anything at all from the tour. So normally we like to take free walking tours, because free walking tours, the idea is that you go on the tour, you don't pay anything, and then when it's over, you pay the guide what you think it was worth, right? So you tip them, and you know, we usually pay 10 to 15 euro per person based on how good it was. And normally they're pretty good. Normally they are very good, and I would say the free walking tours are generally better, certainly better than what we paid for the other day. We were looking for those in Bremen. We wanted to do one. I couldn't find one. All the ones I could find were all in Spanish. So I guess there's a lot of Spanish visitors in Bremen, and maybe not so many English visitors, because I could not find a free walking tour in English in Bremen. So then we went to the tourist information office and just took the tour that they were offering. So if you come down the Böttcherstraße, follow the silver dots, you'll go underneath a set of stairs and come out here, and you can come to the waterfront. This is what they call the Schlachte, the waterfront. This is on the river Weser. Now, I've heard people from Bremen pronounce it Weser, but it has an R at the end, so I want to call it Weser. I'm not really sure how you really say it. But so this was the harbor of Bremen to up to a certain extent, and then I guess it got maybe too crowded, too shallow, too small. So they, about a few kilometers down the river, they built Bremerhaven, which is the port of Bremen now as we know it. And so you got Bremerhaven, which is officially a part of the state of Bremen. Now, Bremen is one of 3 city-states in Germany, the other 2 being Hamburg and Berlin. Bremen is the smallest state in Germany. Bremerhaven, down the river, the port, is actually part of the state of Bremen. And so this is just a nice place to come for a walk along the riverside, along the water. That old boat right there that says Alexander von Humboldt, Bremerhaven, that used to be a boat that used to sail around the world, I guess. I'm not sure where all it went. But then at some point it got too small, so they brought it here. Now it's there. Now it's a nice bar, restaurant. You can go there and have a drink, have something to eat, sitting along the waterfront here in Bremen. Okay, so we are at the Mühle Fall, one of 5 old mills from Bremen that have been preserved. We haven't seen the other 4, but this one is very close to the city center. But it used to be along the old fortifications of the city of Bremen from the 17th century. Now it's been preserved. It's got a nice cafe there, and the walls were taken down. Now there's just a beautiful park. So as you're going into or coming out of the actual city center of Bremen, nice place. There's some beautiful trails along here to bicycle ride or just to go for a walk along the water. Nice place, nice cafe. It's supposed to have some really nice food. We haven't actually been there yet, but it's supposed to be really nice. But it's really beautiful, nice photo spot. You can go across the water and take a nice photo looking back this way of the mill. But it's a really nice place here in Bremen. All right, so we are in the section of Bremen called Das Viertel, which means the quarter or the neighborhood. And this is kind of a hip and trendy area of the city, just a little bit outside of the center. Lots of cool cafes and ice cream shops and bars and restaurants and stuff like that. So so Das Viertel is just a really cool looking, trendy looking, maybe you might say hipster neighborhood here in Bremen, but it looks really cool. It reminds me some of Südvorstadt in Leipzig when we lived there a few years ago. So it reminds me of the street we called the Carly in Leipzig. So a real cool little neighborhood here in Bremen. Das Viertel. Standing outside of the Church of St. Peter here in Bremen, and on this spot, there's been a church in this spot since 789. It was first consecrated, and then it was been destroyed by fires a couple times. The church, kind of as we see it right now, was completed in the 1400s, and it's received some damage and rebuilt. It was severely damaged in World War II. All except the central nave. So the central nave inside is pretty much original from the 1400s, but it's gone under different transformations, different design, different decorations, if you will. The two outer naves were destroyed. Those have been rebuilt since the war. But in the interior, the central nave is pretty much original, centuries old. Beautiful building. We're gonna step inside and show you what it looks like inside. So we just took you inside the St. Peter's Dome, the Dome of St. Petri. Beautiful church, beautiful building. I kind of talked about the history of it a little bit. The central nave is really beautiful, has a really nice organ, and they're playing some organ music in there, which is really nice. Now on Saturdays, during the summertime, they have organ concerts. We'll put the time on the screen. I can't remember the time, but I think that would be really nice to go listen to. They have a tower. You can climb the tower, 60 meters high. It costs €4 to go up. Normally, I'm a sucker for climbing towers, but not feeling the best today. And what we've seen, the views are all kind of hindered a little bit behind a screen, so you can't get perfectly clear views, so we opted not to go up. But it does look nice, but if you want to get photos and videos and things like that, you're going to have some screen in between you, so we decided not to go up. But beautiful church on the inside, free to get in, doesn't cost anything. There's also a museum inside, which is also free. It's behind a little extra door. You don't have to pay anything to go into the museum. So really cool, lots of cool stuff in here. There's a clock from 1671, I think. It's just laying on the ground, so obviously it was damaged somehow. And there's like the plans for how they built the clock right next to it, so that's pretty interesting as well. They of note. So one thing, so the Church of St. Peter. Now supposedly St. Peter had a key. He's always depicted with a key, sometimes two keys. Supposedly St. Peter had the key to heaven and he had the key to hell. So in Bremen, the image of the city, you'll find keys, images of keys everywhere representing the city of Bremen, and also St. Peter. And Beck's Beer, which is a huge brewery here in Bremen, their symbol is also a key from the city of Bremen. So if you go inside, one of the stained glass windows is St. Peter holding a key, holding the key of Bremen, the key of Beck's, the key to heaven or to hell. We don't know which one, but the color is funny because it's a greenish color, like a bottle of Beck's is in the green bottle. And from what we were told, Beck's paid to have that that window installed in the color of their beer. So maybe you look at that, you get thirsty, you come outside and you buy a Beck's. I don't know. That's what we were told. But anyway, very beautiful church here in Bremen, the Dome of St. Peter's. Right behind St. Peter's Church here in Bremen, if you walk back behind it a little bit, if you look on the ground, you might notice 4 dark cobblestones that make a square. This marks the last public execution in Bremen, and eerie story. It was a serial killer, a female serial killer, and this lady went on a rampage. She killed her family. She poisoned her family. She would it seemed like she was caring for people, but she was actually poisoning them. So she killed her husband, her kids. Later, she killed her fiance. She'd been giving all these people rat poisoning and killing them. She fled. She fled to Hanover, and so and killed a few more people in Hanover. And then eventually they caught her and brought her back here to Bremen. And she was beheaded here on this spot. And it was the last public execution here in Bremen. And it was in the 1800s, I believe. So interesting story for those of you who are into studying serial killers. You can come to Bremen and study that one. I forget the lady's name. We'll put it on the screen. It's called the Spitting Stone. So for years and years, people would walk by and they'd spit on the stone, because where that lady was killed. And still today, I guess some Bremeners will actually spit on the stone as they walk by. But, it's been a great time here in Bremen, and we will be heading home tomorrow. So thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good time, and hope you liked this video from Bremen. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment. Let us know what your favorite part of Bremen is, what your favorite thing to do is here, and yeah. And think about subscribing if you haven't subscribed to us yet. And join us next week and see where we're at. All right. So good evening from Bremen.